I felt and saw this presence of something like a ghost.
As I was reaching for my keys, something growled at me coming out of the basement.
It was bad energy. I was sort of feeling like I was letting Satan out of hell.
I saw out of the corner of my eye what I thought was the girl falling off the roof.
I couldn't think. It was so loud and I was so terrified that I just froze.
I'm not calling for that. I'm calling because I'm freaking out here.
I felt this presence trying to push itself down on top of me very violently.
It would not go away. It was freaking me out. I look at my arm and it's got a scratch on it.
Welcome, everybody, to Ghosts of Greystone, Beverly Hills. My name is Clete.
And I'm Chris.
And we are those Keith brothers, and I can't begin to tell you how excited I am tonight because this is the second floor landing and hallway, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 was cool. Part 2 is awesome. You're going to hear some great stories that are really...
And a great mystery sound.
Yes.
At the end of the show.
Oh, you're going to love this.
Off the charts, as Clete would say.
Yes,
it's wonderful.
It is. It's off the charts.
It's great.
So, thank you for being here, and we're gonna hear what is it? Help me with this. What are we gonna be hearing?
Messages from Beyond.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Messages from Beyond.
Apparitions. Portal.
He's telling you right now.
Yeah.
And what
because
else?
I know the show.
Okay. What else?
And NT2, as you say, but it's actually National Treasure 2. You remember the movie? We're gonna have something about that.
What does that have to do with this show?
You'll see.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you'll see.
All right. I know we'll see.
Come on.
Okay, I'm excited. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Really excited about this. This is episode 14, by the way, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, we're really excited we got this far. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So let's. You want to jump into it? You want to say?
First one. Well, we're back obviously on the second floor landing and hallway.
Yep.
Which is really fun.
Yep.
A lot of incidences in this area.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had to split it up into 2 shows because of the amount.
Yeah.
The teaser for this segment coming up. I had a note here. Somebody talked to you about something that happened in the house and clues yet to be found.
Yeah, that was, well, this is this Steve Clark?
Yes.
Okay. So Steve Clark ended up having gave a tour to a psychic named Peter James, who has passed, but boy, was he great. Great psychic. And he showed up one day. I think Steve's going to talk about that. And then it's what Peter James disclosed to Steve. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, yeah. He visited the mansion and basically enlightened Steve, right?
Yeah, what happened was Peter was just showing up. Steve's going to tell you.
Okay.
I don't want to tip it.
Stories in the book, too, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, what happened was, this was when Michelle White was supervisor, and she didn't want anything, the city, the policy was they didn't want anything recorded or publicized, that was in any way made that house look bad or, haunted or whatever. So, but for some reason, she said as long as we were there and we made sure they had no recording equipment or cameras, they could go through. And I don't know why she agreed to that, but she did. So they came in and he had a couple people with him. It was about 3 of them, maybe 4. And, just walked through the house, just doing what he does, telling, just, we're saying what he felt and this and that. And I think there was a lady taking notes there. So, but, the one thing I remembered was upstairs, he said there was someone was killed up there in the corner of the landing of the second floor. And it surprised me because I'm like, well, nobody's ever told us that. And, and he said, there's something under the carpet. And at that time, they had the carpet still down on all the wood floors from the school, the AFI school, so he said, there's something under the floor that will prove that this person was there. And I'm thinking, I don't know, what could it be? Bloodstained bullet hole,
Yeah.
So, but we couldn't pull the carpet up because it was, it was too far into the room, and we didn't want to get in trouble and not be able to have the carpet put back down. So, he left, and then maybe.
And Stephen, I'm sorry. Didn't he also say that there was a portal in the house?
Yes, he did. He's thank you for reminding me. It was only 20 years ago. No, he was the one who said there was a portal at the head of the staircase on the second floor. As you step down onto the staircase, he said there's a portal there.
Okay.
So, yes, thank you. He did say that. And it was a long tour. I mean, he was there probably at least 2 hours, I would guess, walking through the house. I don't recall much of anything else that went on there. He might have picked up on some of the tragedy in the maid's quarters, but I don't recall because I wasn't taking notes at the time.
So he left, and then Garfield comes in.
Right, and that was probably within a year. I think Garfield, the TV, the movie, came in, and they made a deal with the city that they did not obviously want. They wanted sort of like an English manor house. So they asked, or made a deal with the city saying, we will, if you let us take horrible carpet up from the 1960s on the second floor, we'll have the floors refinished. Obviously a great deal. So the city agreed to that. And that's when I remembered they call, I was not at that house. I was at another somewhere else in the park. And someone said, Steve, they're pulling the carpets up. And I'm like, and it just hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go look before they start sanding the floors. And literally exactly where Peter James said there was like a big scratch mark in the floor, and then a long scratch mark, almost like it was like somebody had something, they were being dragged away, and had something on the floor that was dragging. And I did take a photo, which you may have.
I do now. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I took a photo of what it was. It almost looked like somebody was trying to write. It didn't look like a chair or anything like, or a table. Sometimes they'll mar up a floor. It looked like something that was, I don't know. It just looked like it was meant to be, somebody had something they were doing with what was scribed into the floor there.
Wow.
Is that wild? And here's a really interesting thing as well. And that is, like you said, the carpet had been there since the 60s. Now, prior to the 60s, Henry Crown owned the home and never was there. So it was just used for filming or what have you. And then AFI came in 69. I think it was 69 to 82. They came in and they had the house. So that carpet was still in there. Now, we don't know how long.
He's AFI, American Film Institute.
Yeah. So we don't know how long or when this possibly could have happened. But the really interesting thing to me is that Peter James was a very well-known psychic, really good too, a psychic medium. And the great thing was he has a 46,000 square foot home, and he says...
Which is Greystone.
And he says, right at this one corner, which is right past Lucy's room, by the way, upstairs, right in that one corner, somebody died there. And you'll see some kind of manifestation of what took place at that corner. When they took up the carpet to do it, that was the only spot that had like scratches and whatever that is in there, gouges in that one area.
Is there any electrical outlet near where that is?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I'm just thinking film crews or whatever could have scratched.
Yeah, but the carpet was on there.
Yeah, okay.
Carpet was on there all the way from 69 till when we
for AFI.
Right.
So prior to that, it's because everything was immaculate. It would be odd that it's all scratched up.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. So you pull that up, and there's these weird scratchings and stuff on the floor. So it was very odd, and Peter James he did mention to Steve about a portal.
Is that what he was talking about? Some type of evidence hidden within the walls?
Well, that's something else. His thing was, which was pretty crazy, is when he walked in, when Peter James walked in, I wasn't there on the tour, but Steve told me all this, and I remembered all this stuff. That's why I prompted him, because I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah.
But when Peter James walked in and they went upstairs, he just looked over and said, "Oh, you got a portal here."
Just like nothing.
Because that's what he does, right?
Yeah.
And 15 years later, Chris Fleming, who's on all the shows now and everything, and who is really a great psychic medium, he showed up, and I don't know what year that was. I could find out, but like
it's okay.
2009 or something like that. He showed up. I brought him in, and he walks inside and goes, "Oh, do you know you have a portal here?"
And a portal is?
Like a spirit highway where spirits can come and go. It's an opening in like the veil that allows spirits to come and go.
Which is a really odd thing to me. It's like, here's a portal. I mean, they can see it. It's interesting that two psychics see the same spot. It was the same area.
Yeah,
he's going right there.
It's the same area.
It's interesting that they can see it, but it's just, to me, it's like, how does that spot happen? And with all these...
I don't know how it happens, but it is energy, a flow of energy.
Right.
And so we're going to get into some of that later too, in the next episode.
Okay.
But what I want to say was that when Chris Fleming saw that and said the same thing like 15 years later, we were just like, there's something about that area.
Right.
And then we did have a lot of things happen in that area. And what was the other question you had for me?
Well, I wanted to ask two things. One, the Garfield. Did you have a question about the Garfield?
Oh, no, I was trying to figure out what year that was.
Oh,
so
that's
then we
okay.
would know when Peter James was there.
Yeah, we'll put that on there.
Yeah, and by the way, just a small tidbit. When I talked to Chris Fleming, and he said, "Oh, you've got a portal here," I went, "Wow." Peter James said the same thing. He looked at me and said, "He was my mentor." I said, "Oh," he goes, "He's the one who taught me." And I went onto YouTube and I found Peter James as a younger man and Chris Fleming as a kid.
Oh my gosh.
He's like 8 or 9 or something like that. And I don't know if they're in the Queen Mary, but it could be the Queen Mary. And he's bending down to Chris saying, "What are you seeing up there? Because there's something up there. What are you seeing?" And he says, "I see something." He goes,
"Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
You're right. That's exactly right."
Really?
That's the coolest
So he
thing.
had a gift, and Peter recognized that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you said you had a favorite portal photo.
Okay, so
is that something?
Yeah. Well, when I've mentioned this before, when I started working there in 98, and then in the early 2000s with Steve Clark and Dan Hernandez, we would go in and take photos all the time. And I think I mentioned this in a prior show. Take photos, and it always happened to be in that area where the portal is, you would see things. And what I mean by see things now, it could be dust. I mean, I heard one guy say 95% of what you call orbs are actually dust.
Right.
Right.
That's what I used to say. I go, "Clete, you're running around, there's dust flowing."
It could be, but I did a test one time. I snuck in the mansion. There wasn't any air conditioning then. I just got in the mansion, went up on the second floor, really slowly, got my camera, snap, and there was one thing in that area.
Oh, okay.
So, and I didn't move any, so I was very careful. But I took a photo one day. It's just one of my favorite photos inside the mansion. It's from down below. I think it's either on the wing that goes into the boys' wing on that one landing, or down below near the grand entry up toward the second floor landing. And I took a photo, and it was a design show or something, and there was a plant on the other side of the railing of the second floor landing. And in that plant, there's this huge circle that has a cool pattern in it, but you can see through it to the plant. So I don't know if that's if that's dust, if it would be perfectly circle and with this crazy pattern in it. You can see that. You can see a white light like streaking past, which is really cool. So you can see movement in that light, and then a red circle.
Oh.
And we've heard before, at least, I don't even know if it was in this series of shows. I don't think it has been yet. But there were times where Senior Ranger Juan has seen red lights.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that
yet. Haven't talked. I don't even know if we're going to get into that.
I don't think so.
And same with Chan. And same with, remember well, you don't remember that, but in the theater, there's a story of another red
Do we
light
have that?
too.
Is that coming up?
I think it's coming
Okay.
up. That's in the rec wing
What
area.
about, last word on this segment, basically.
Yeah.
Juan texted you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you say you had a text of his?
I got to read this.
Oh, boy.
I can't see without my glasses.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but let's
Okay.
read. So this is a day. This is what would happen with us because we're into this, and because poor Juan, who has the gift, is in the house constantly, and things are constantly happening to him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't want it.
He takes it in stride, though. He doesn't.
He's really
doesn't
smooth
seem to get
about it.
wound up.
So he texted me one day and said, "Definitely heard a male voice say, 'Ooh.' Elva is not in the mansion. Elva was the one who was cleaning. Remember, who used to pray every time? I just pray. Elva's not in the mansion. I was the only one inside cleaning, so they were getting ready for a show or something. He's in there cleaning something. Could be an echo from outside, but it sounded like someone inside. I heard indistinguishable voices inside earlier, and Elva was not inside. And I said, it seems like they communicate with you when you're alone. Was there anyone else in the mansion at all? No. It could have been an echo from, remember, justification. It could have been an echo from outside. There's a lot of kids today, but it sounded like an adult who said, ooh. And I said, where was the voice coming from? What part of the house? He said, second floor portal. And I said, that makes sense. Creepy even during the day when you're alone. He said, it scared me for a bit, but I just looked around and checked all the doors and windows, and then I found Elva outside. I said, that's crazy. Thanks for telling me. And he said, something has stirred up the ghost in here. ...
Ooh.
Yeah.
Send me that text.
I will.
Picture of that text.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty wild.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it happened a lot to him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let's see. You had something as far as noises go on the second floor landing.
Is this with Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Came in after hours.
Yeah. So I've mentioned before that Steve Clark and myself, we were into the paranormal and just fascinated by it. And because things happened to Steve, they weren't happening to me; they were happening to Steve. So he was getting more and more fascinated by it. So we decided several times that we would, after work, let's say it was a late night, especially if it was like a design show, which we did quite a few design shows, or any event that he worked and I worked. We said, hey, how about we just go in tonight and stay, because Steve lived close by. I lived close by at that time. We can just stay, an extra hour, 2 hours, whatever. And he'd go, okay. This one night, which I don't really think about too much, actually, but it really was a crazy night for me. And I don't.
Well, you've never really mentioned it to me.
No, but it was amazing because it was right around 11 o'clock. I remember that. We'd closed up everything, walked inside. We went up to the second floor landing hallway and sat against the wall. It's in the middle. Remember, the second floor landing hallway goes from the master suites all the way to the gun room, the length of the building. In the middle of that is an area where there's a railing and it looks down on the grand entry. We went up, sat back against the wall under a mirror. There was a big mirror there. So we sat under that mirror next to each other and just started talking about the day. Like, so what happened? I know you did that, this, and you worked on it. Did that work out for you and all? Oh, yeah. So what did you do? I'm chatting. And as we're just having conversation, we hear bam, and it's a door closing.
Who else was around there?
Nobody. Park's closed.
Oh.
Late night.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I look at him, and he looked at me, and we're just, it's happening. It's happening now. And we just looked at each other and just went, okay, nodded, waited, nothing, continue having our conversation, bam.
And you weren't recording it?
No, because this is the early stages. I didn't have my SB7 spirit, but I didn't have any of that stuff. Even the phones back then, we couldn't record, right? So I looked at him and I said, that's the servants' wing downstairs. And he goes, yeah. I go, let's go down. So we walked down the stairs. We went to the grand hall, right in the middle, right below where we were sitting upstairs, sat there in the grand hall, and just stayed quiet. Bam!
You heard another one.
Another one.
A third one.
A third one.
Oh.
And I looked at him, and this is the early years. I think in the later years, I would have gone and looked because I would have my recorder or video and say, I'm coming in. You know, one of those. We just sat there and looked at each other like, we know there's nobody in the house. Bam! One more time.
4 times?
4 times. And I said,
oh my gosh.
Time to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said, yeah, let's get out of here.
Candy asked us. So it's kind of like...
No, that's Steve, yeah. Yeah, Steve.
No, I think that was you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you probably said that to him.
I don't have a history of being like that. I don't know. So that doesn't sound like
that
me.
Episode with Kacey, my sister.
Don't go back to that, please.
All right.
Stay with us right here.
So was it really loud?
Yes.
When you were, you were downstairs.
Yeah.
So when you heard it, was it like you knew the direction of it?
Yeah, no, it was the servants' wing, like back by the kitchen.
Okay.
Back by it could have been, back then, it could have been the servants' door to the dining room. It could have been anything in there.
And this is before the new kitchen. They tore out that whole area.
Yeah, so a lot of doors and things on that side of the
doors.
mansion. And it was bone chilling, man, because you're there by yourself. You know the park's closed. You know that you're the only ones inside that mansion, and that door slammed 4 times.
Wow. No, I never heard that.
Yeah, man. And it was like, let's go.
I wish we could have heard it.
I know.
I wonder if it would have sounded like that door slam sound of the week that we had.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but that kind of sounded a little bit muffled. That door slam, a little bit muffled. This was crisp.
Really?
Bam!
I mean, there was no doubt it was a door slam.
Door slam. Knew it.
All 4.
Yes. Same one. Same door.
We should have asked Steve about that.
Yeah, I did. I forgot to ask him about that. He'd remember it. He'd remember it.
All right.
So I just wanted to share that because I thought not a lot of things happened to me in my 22 years except down in the basement where, unfortunately, that happened.
The embarrassment of the show?
It was not. I was trying to protect her.
All right.
Do you want to go back into that?
No.
Thank you. I don't either.
We did enough.
Okay. We sure did. And then the other thing was these sounds that night with Steve.
Wow.
I think those are the 2 main things that I can recall that really happened to me that scared me.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, next segment.
Yeah, what do we got?
We have a one-time ranger, Luz. And this is her story.
Okay.
Second floor landing, shadows and windows.
Okay. So remember Luz, Luz Rodriguez. And she's the one who had 24 stories when I took her into the mansion to recall all these. There are some, again, that we didn't have enough time to do all this stuff. There's another one that was amazing at the grand entry. But
this story was during filming.
Yeah, so they were filming, and she's with this is before I was working there, so it had to be before '98. She's there working with her ranger partner Sumner. Sumner, great guy. Hope you're watching. How you doing out there? He's a great guy.
So they were overseeing the production, the movie crew?
Yeah. I think he became a sheriff, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was their thing that night, to make sure the filming, everything went smoothly. It was the end of the night, and this is what took place.
All right.
Has anyone else seen the shadow people, or the shadow man?
Continue, my dear.
Okay. There's a full body. It's a man. It's in the shape of a man, because I don't know if it's Ned, but whenever I would see him, it creeped me out.
And what did he look like?
Well, he's just black, like solid black.
Solid black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you guys walking?
We're inside the mansion, so we
Do you
must
remember where you were?
We must be walking.
You're downstairs, going downstairs.
I think we're walking down to the grand entry because she's going to tell me how it went, how it all unfolded at the grand entry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. It's just loud. We're inside the mansion.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Remember, we weren't going to do this, right? Sorry about that.
It was just going to be for transcriptions for the book.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful to have these. Let's pick it up.
Please.
The first time I saw him, Sumner and I were working together.
I talked to him.
Sumner and I were working, and it was late. We were waiting for a set dressing truck to arrive.
I love that you have all these details. This is so awesome. I can't tell you.
So we're outside talking to the security guard, right? And, you know, we're waiting for the truck. And Sumner says, I'm going to go to the restroom. There was still no power in the house. So we had like flood lighting, you know, and it was all being run by the Jenny outside. So there were some lights here at the landing here. And Sumner came in. I felt like he was gone a long time. And I walked over to the front of to the entrance. The doors were open. And I was like, Sumner? And he wasn't responding. And so I said, Sumner. And I looked up because I saw the shadow coming out from like the main, the master bed area.
Yep. Okay.
From that. And as he walked, it was like he was floating. It wasn't like walking. He was floating across this hallway, like into the next hallway. And I could see him like cross each pillar. And I was like, because at first, when I first saw him, I said, Sumner, what are you doing up there? You know, because we would go through the house together. In the dark, neither one of us would go alone. And so when I saw him, I was like, Sumner. But there was he didn't turn. He just kept walking. It wasn't until I was like, Sumner, what are you doing up there? And I'm focused in on this shadow. I hear Sumner's voice outside. And I just like I think the color rushed from me because I was so scared at that point. And when he said, okay, we have to go check the windows because the alarm system was notorious. Whenever there was film crews in here, you know, it was a given. They would go and they would open the windows, right? And so we'd have to go in the dark with a flashlight and close all the windows. Well, there was, on this same show, the officer and I, the police officer and I were going through the house to shut down the window, close the window.
Did you ask him to go with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, can you come with me? And I asked him to come with me after we had gone to close the window in the daughter's room. It kept saying there was an open window. So we went, Sumner and I had gone, closed it. I was going to set the alarm. He was outside dealing with some trucks. And it kept saying that window was open again. And I was
the alarm would say that?
Yes. Yeah. The panel would say it was open. So I'm like, I know. We closed it. So then I said to Gary, I said, can you come with me to close this window, please? And he's like, well, why can't you go? And I said, I already went, and I closed it, and it keeps saying it's open. So he came with, and we closed the window, came back down, and it said, that window is open, and one of the windows or the doors in the gun room was open. And so he looked at me and I said, let's go. He goes, I have fresh batteries, let's go. He said that. And as we're coming up here, his flashlight starts to dim. And I was like, Gary, you said you had batteries. It's gonna get dark. He goes, let's hurry. So we're running through. And it was open. It wasn't open all the way, but it was like just like someone had just hit the latch and it popped. We force armed the alarm. Right. Because the windows kept opening. They kept playing games with us. Like they didn't, you know, they kept opening. I mean, and if it wasn't, you know, you start to feel like you're losing your mind because you're just like, wait a minute, I closed that and I latched it. And so when he was with me and both our flashlights were going dim, and by the time we made it, we would close it, lock it, make it back down here, and it would say, you know, whatever wing window open. And he's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, see, this is why I needed you to come with me. And we didn't come back up. I said, look, I'm just gonna force arm it and leave a note for Bill to let him know that we had to force arm because the windows, there was something with an issue with the windows.
Okay, a couple things.
Yeah.
Going on. It's so interesting to me because Luz has so many stories. She has the gift, which you sense, feels the spirits, but she does have a lot of stories, and yet she's tripping out when this stuff happens to her still, like you say.
It's hard to justify, even if you have the gift. Any of the shows you watch, all the ghost shows, if you watch those, you'll see some really gifted people. Chris Fleming's on a lot of those shows who showed up at Greystone. And he's always fascinated, like, my God. And this is what he does for a living.
Right.
And it's the same thing with people that have the gift. If you see things happen all the time, and suddenly it happens again, you're still trying to justify.
Right.
Like, I don't understand.
Well, is Gary, was that the name of the police officer?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the deal with the police officer? I mean, why was he there?
Well,
police officers are on the set stuff when they're shooting, but this was after hours. It's usually security, right?
Well, it was probably the end of the night. Oh. And so he had been there and thought, I'm sure it was a thing where they just said, do you want to stay and oversee the closing up of...
Yeah, they had to have something, because she wouldn't have called him a police officer if he was security.
Yeah. No, he wasn't security. I know who Gary was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So they ended up force arming it, meaning you put it on and suddenly it says, no, that window's open. Finally, there's the thing you can go, I'm
arming it, even though I know there's two windows open.
I'm going to arm it. That's why she was afraid of Bill, because if Bill was her boss at that time, and if he found out, he'd go, why didn't you arm that properly? So.
Well, is there a report the next morning or something?
Oh, yeah.
The next ranger comes in and said, hey, the alarm.
Yes, so you put on that report that night.
Oh.
Tried to arm it, couldn't, forced arm.
I would have loved to have gotten hold of those reports back then.
I wonder
to see how many were, couldn't be armed and they had to force arm.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that all the time with Dan and Steve, all the time. Yeah.
And they would just say, I'm not going back there.
Just force arm it. Just go over it.
Now, the cop had actual...
Bypass it, yeah.
He had fresh batteries.
Yes, he even told her, come on, let's do it. I got fresh batteries. And by the time they get up to that second floor landing hallway, it starts to drain, like Mary. Yeah,
Mary Nichols and her equipment to shoot the pictures.
Yeah, is that
we've done?
We did it. I can't even remember.
You always talk about that, but I'm amazed. Yeah, I'm just amazed that it can drain. These things drain energy, and they can.
Oh no, listen. And here's a story that's not Greystone related, but I know this for a fact. I lived at a location close by. And after I left, and another person moved into that location who had the gift, right? He said to me one day that the person who owned that location was very upset because her car battery had been drained and his car battery had been drained. And he said, I know what it is. It's the spirits on you're not going to have it at the same time. It's not going to happen at the same time. She was pissed. And he was like, I have nothing to do with it. I can't do. There's nothing I can do about it.
Stay on topic.
So right now at
Greystone. This is not Greystone.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
But speaking of on topic,
yes,
this is my favorite. This is one of my favorites.
Okay.
I do have some favorites. This is Peter Devlin and
Peter the Great.
Peter the Great.
Yep.
And I love this.
Yeah.
Lead us into this with a little background information, everything.
Yeah.
I want to hear everything.
Okay, so
they should hear everything.
Okay, so what we're going to be chatting about is National Treasure 2 Book of Secrets. That's what the discussion will be. What we're going to be talking about. I got a hold of Peter. I caught up with him shooting a series at Greystone. So I found out Peter was the sound fella.
How did you know Peter?
From National Treasure 2.
But how did you know him? That doesn't tell everybody what...
He was a sound guy.
You were there.
Well, I was a ranger.
Right.
It was during filming for National Treasure 2, so I was able to put on a uniform and be with the Rangers and oversee things. And something happened that we'll get into, and that's how I met Peter. Then... a year or so, no, more than that, years later, that was 2007, I think, National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets is. I think it's 2007. So years later, contacted him and found out he was there for this series. So it's probably like 10 years later or so. Wow. Maybe 10 years later, 8 years, something like that. And he was there, and I went, oh my God, I got to go see Peter. But then at that
Is that when you interviewed him?
Yes.
Okay.
So I interviewed him inside the mansion in the doll room, which is right across from the murder room. That's where he had all his equipment set up for this series that he was shooting. And
for those of you, I'm sorry, for those of you who don't know, Peter Devlin is an Academy Award nominee for sound mixing. He's the one that sits on the set. You see him all the time if you see a crew. He's got his recorder and all this equipment. He puts the lavaliers and the mics and mics everything up, and he's got the boom operator working for him. Yeah. And he has this pristine sound. He is the best in the business.
Yeah.
And he gets booked very quickly. Yeah. By all the shows, but anyway, he's remarkable.
Yeah, and a great person. Really, really nice, cool dude.
Super cool.
Yeah. So we became friends, and he would call me and say, "Hey, would it be okay if I brought my friends in? To
don't do an accent.
Friends in for a return." That's Norwegian.
Yeah.
Friends in for a tour. And I'd say, yeah. And I got him in, and this and that. So this time they were shooting a series. And so I said, listen, when you're done for the day, and I was getting ready, now I knew I was going to write the book. So I needed to contact him, and he's going to be shooting at Grace.
Which is fantastic.
Oh, my God. So I said, can I talk to you? Because after the end of the day, come on by. I said, okay. So at the end of the day, so what you're going to hear are a lot of crew.
They're familiar with what crew sounds like.
But wasn't that a good crew sound?
They'll hear it.
Okay.
You don't have to give that sound effect.
All right. So anyway, the crew is there, and he's also talking to his crew away from me. They'll come up and ask him questions. You're going to hear that, and you're going to hear my radio. Because I think Dan calls me during this. I'm going like, I'm interviewing Peter. I'm going like. And Dan's my boss. Dan's my boss. And I'm going, I think I say something like, I'm busy right now. Which you're not supposed to do that. He's my boss.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get this interview.
Yeah.
So let's hear what Peter has to say about what happened to him. And then it's really fabulous. Really fabulous.
Here we go.
Yep.
What happened was when we were here in National Treasure, I knew no history of Doheny Mansion. I'd never shot here before. And I really hadn't got into conversation with any of the rangers here. But I was with my boom operator, Kevin Cherky. We both just got a sense that this is such an interesting house. How cool would it be to set a recorder up and record the sounds of the house at night? It's not that we were ghost hunters or anything like that or suspected, but I don't know what made me think, yeah, I'd like to do this. So we set up the microphones on that upper level, and because we now have hard disk recorders, we knew that we could basically leave a machine recording all night. It used to be if you had a 1/4 inch tape, you could only run for 30 minutes, whereas these recorders could run for 24 hours. So that night we wrapped, I think it was around about 9:30, and we set up, we covered the cart, because I think we were concerned that somebody would see the machinery on. So we kind of covered it. We put the microphone elevated above the recorder, and left it running, and we left. And the next morning, I came in. I think our call time was like 7 o'clock. So I went over to the machine and I started to play back the material from that moment that we had started recording, which was at 10 o'clock. So I'm listening and I'm hearing the crew leaving. I'm hearing the rangers kind of making their rounds. I heard the water fountain get turned off, and then I heard the door close, and then the door opened again, and I heard some park rangers coming up and say, I think there's a light on. It looks like that equipment's on. And I said, well, they must know. And they were coming right close to my microphone, so that they obviously saw there was a light on. And they're like, well, they must know about it. And then they left, and then there was absolute silence. So I was able to kind of fast forward through the silence, and I could hear the sounds of like the city, distant, just kind of the silence of a house. I'd hear an airplane. So each of the recorder has a time code value, so you can see what time it is. So I was going 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, And every so often I'd stop and play and there would be nothing. So I was going through it, it was like 1 o'clock, and I stopped and played, and then I heard this like first little movement. But what was eerie was I could hear, because it was so quiet in here, I could hear the hard drive humming. So there's like a low level.
That's the hard drive.
It was the hard drive spinning. So it was vibrating, and the vibration was going up the pole to the microphone, and you could hear that low level hum.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Why don't you hear that when you're recording here?
Oh, because the microphone was sitting on this, and it was just vibrating. Whereas our microphones are away.
Gotcha.
And also it was a different recorder back then. So I'm listening to that, and then I hear this kind of movement. I'm like, oh, what's that? And then I sensed a perspective change to the next noise, like something fell. And then there was another movement. Then what sounded like layout board sliding. So that was sliding layout board. I'm like, okay. And then that was followed by like 2 loud movements or something crashing to the floor. And that's when the blood drained from my head. I was like, holy crap. And then it was just quiet again. So, you know, I looked at my boom.
Dan. I'll get right back to you.
I looked at my boom operator and I said, Kevin, you've got to hear this. So I played Kevin, and he's like, holy crap. So then we played it for a video assist guy, and he's like, wow, you got to let everybody hear that. And I remember, I don't know who it was, which ranger, they said, well, you said, well, we got to let Steve hear that. And then, you know, I think he came back and said, Steve doesn't want to hear it.
That's correct.
You know?
Yeah, because he's had things happen to him here.
So I think it went around the crew. Nick Cage thought it was gunshots because of, now I'm starting to hear the history of the house.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, okay.
So Nick Cage
said, oh, those are gunshots. And then John Voight was like, oh, you guys were just messing around. He just didn't believe it. He was a total skeptic. But I think we played it for absolutely everybody on that crew. So that's the only time I've ever done a recording in a house or left a machine running. And since then, I have read the history on Doheny, and obviously that kind of gives me a little bit more of a sense of what this house is about, and the fact that there is probably whatever it is still here in this house, whatever it is, it's an entity of some type. But yeah, it was, that initial sense of the blood draining from my face was something I will never forget.
Fantastic stories. Now, this guy's as legit as you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, they could say whatever they want about, the crew is messing around. First of all, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, and by the way, 12:58.
Oh.
Because I remember him showing me, come over here. And I went over, because here's what happened.
Go ahead.
The next day I show up, I open up, everybody, all the crew runs in to get their stuff from the second floor landing, and right by the door. They're getting all their equipment to go out and set up. I go upstairs. Peter goes in. He has takes his cart. I think he brought it into Mr. Doheny, Mr. Doheny's, the sitting room they call it, but it's Mr. Doheny's bedroom. That's what we used to call it. He's got it set up and everything, and I can see him doing going like this, and then he stops and he's like, and I go, uh-oh, something happened. And then he looks up at me, and I go, and I wanted to get out of the room because I didn't want to talk about, I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Right.
So he looks at me, and I start to go, excuse me. I go, yep. And he said, he asked me, did you guys have security here? I said, yes. And so, but did you have anybody inside the house? I said, no, there's security outside. So we just, nobody was in. No. I just was, concerned now because I was like, well, why do you ask? And he said, well, listen to this. And when he put the headphones on me, I was looking 12:58.
Oh,
I saw that. Never forgot it. He said 1 o'clock, and it was, that's what it was, right around 1. But, and then when I heard it, I just went, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And then, like he said, he played it for Nick Cage, and then he went nuts. And he was like, you got to hear this. This is incredible. Right? He's telling everybody. And then John Voight was like, It's a bunch of crap. They're just playing it, man. They're just playing. He didn't believe it at all.
Yeah, that's what I find really funny in that. What's the point of it? Why would Peter do that for a crew to? Oh, this is what's going. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
No, he's not that.
He's a
kind
professional.
Of guy anyway. He doesn't.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
As far as the hum goes, that's the first time I've ever heard that. I mean, I put out all this together. I don't listen to a lot of these interviews. I don't want to hear it until I'm here. But I didn't know the hum. So the pole, it's like this mic. It would be sitting on the cart. So of course the hard drive that's there is then it was spinning. I don't think they were solid state drives that don't spin. And it was creating that hum. That's what you hear at the beginning then.
Yeah, so and I always thought
it was something else.
I thought it was maybe the entity coming in.
But now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
I see.
Yeah.
And when he referred to, just so everybody out there knows, when he was talking about hearing layout board, and this layout board is simply a cardboard that they put on wood floors or marble or whatever so that the equipment they're putting down doesn't mar or scratch or do anything like that. They have to completely cover the floor unless they're shooting it. With it in the shot, with layout board wherever they're going, because they're rolling stuff in and they're.
Oh yeah. And the layout board comes in sheets 4x8. Like if you get 4x8 pieces of plywood, that huge plywood at Home Depot,
huge.
whatever. These are really big pieces, and it takes a ton of those things. They have the companies, layout board companies.
Ton of time and taping them down and all. It's just a lot of work.
And he's right, and I knew that's exactly what it was because I've been around it so much, and I heard it slide and hit the wall, and went, "That's layout board." From upstairs, it was bizarre.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Yeah. I just wanted them to know so that when they have this vision, they can either hear it or not based on the sound.
Yeah. So really credible guy, amazing catch that he got. I imagine, and I don't know, and Peter would know if he put his recorder on the next nights after that happened to see if he can catch something. It's almost like when I did the screams and wails, it just happened to be that night.
Yeah, I don't think he would have probably told you if he heard something else.
No, he would have. But I mean, I think after that he would have gone, I've got to do that again.
Oh, yeah.
That's incredible. Maybe I'll get some more.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way. You know, it doesn't, just because spirits are there one night doesn't mean they're there the next.
Right.
So it didn't work
And
out.
the great thing about this is the sound of the week. Is the National Treasure sound.
You're going to play that?
For the audience.
Oh, my God. You're going to play that for them?
I'm going to play that.
Wow.
And I'm going to play the first one. I have it here that I put it on there and then treated it. I want to see what the difference is because I might have taken...
Well, the hum out?
No, because I wanted that in there.
Yeah.
But let's just play the first one.
This is the one that's not treated.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just play it. Now, again, a reminder, it's 12:58. Everybody's gone.
Security's outside. Nobody's in the mansion.
Nobody is in the mansion at all.
Yeah.
And this happens.
Incredible.
What happened was when we were...
Sorry. Wait for it.
And then, now why is it just one ear?
I don't know. It's a mono track. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I don't know.
So that happens. That took place. We'll break that down. Then nothing for the rest of the night. No footsteps. No other sounds of like something walking away or moving around to get away from there. So when I opened those doors in the morning, had it been an intruder, which the security didn't see and the alarm didn't go off, doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
I would have opened that door and looked up the second floor and seen the guy who did it.
Right.
And
well, and also like you were saying, like with the design show, if something falls over or like this was, when you come in, nobody's looking for that because it's, that's how they left it or
That's
something
right.
has moved.
Yeah.
Nobody would even clock that.
Yeah, everybody asked me when I would work there and I'd play this for people and say, no, we actually caught something here. Listen to this. And they go, oh, my God. Well, what did the people that next morning say? And that's what Chris is talking about. When you're working on a film, you put your equipment down and you leave. You want to get home. And then the next guy comes and moves Chris's stuff and puts his stuff there. So things are always being moved at the end of the day. So you can't say, oh my God, look at that, because that could have been Fred who just wanted to move it out of the way. So and nobody was looking for anything. So if things were moved, they didn't say anything. They just came in, grabbed their stuff, and got out. But the night before, that's what took place. Can we hear? What do you want?
let me hit the treated one.
Yeah, let's try that.
What?
There's a lapse before you hear the first noise. That's what we're waiting. There's the hum, but in the background, way in the background, if you have headphones, you can hear like steps coming toward.
Yeah.
Can you?
What you think are steps?
So you can hear that slide is this thick cardboard layout board that's going across into a wall. What wall, I don't know, but it had to be around that portal area.
Yeah, wherever his cart was.
Yeah.
Is that where it was?
Yeah.
There? Wow.
He put it in the portal. He didn't even know he had it in the portal, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. He put it in that one corner
He
right
picked
there.
a good spot, but it's so interesting to me that it's a physical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's layout. It sounds like the layout board that we've seen a million times.
And some people said it sounds like a gun or whatever. To me, it sounds like that. Bum, bum, bum. It sounds like camera equipment. You know, they put them in these, what kind of boxes do they call those? Not penguin.
Pelican,
but other boxes that have metal in the corners.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that protect the equipment, and it sounds like that's
the cases.
Yeah, being shoved over. That's what I think it is. But again, when they show up in the morning, they're not looking to see if their case is moved. It's moved. They don't care.
It moved, but not turned over. If it was turned over, they would say something. They would say who was in here because that equipment is extremely expensive and fragile.
Right.
So,
but
nobody
said anything.
Nobody came to Steve or anything.
No, and it had to be something in there. I'm guessing. I mean, maybe it wasn't, but there are those times that you can on other shows and stuff like that. You'll hear about. I heard it's like we're gonna. Who was a ranger? She's going to talk about something that she heard in episode 20, I believe it is, a sound, and there's nothing there. So, but this sounds like that's layout board. I know that.
Yeah.
So
well,
this was something that was
what
physically
it sounds
there.
Like.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I do know.
All right.
Don't listen to you.
Thank you very much.
Did you have a treated version or something like that? Or?
No, that was it. I don't know. Maybe it was just I tried to raise the volume because
it was good. It was good. They got the idea. I'm sure that was great.
Thank you very much for watching as usual. And please like, subscribe, ring the bell, stay up with our episodes because we drop one every single. It's Thursday night late, but for Friday mornings, and we'll do that up until 20 episodes. And if you have any comments, make sure you leave them on YouTube. You can leave the comments, and we'll get back to you. We do respond to all the comments, and we really like it. If you have any experience of something happening up at Greystone, we do want to hear about that. He wants to hear about that especially.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Make sure you get a hold of us with that.
Yeah.
And
can I? Are you almost done there?
Almost.
Okay.
If you don't want to leave the message on YouTube publicly, you can get a hold of us at ghostsofgreystone.com. You can contact us through our website, ghostsofgreystone.com. That would be great. Go ahead.
I can't tell you how excited I am for the next episode because I'm going to title the next episode, not to give anything away, I'm going to title it The Ghostly Girl. This is going to be a great show because, man, it's packed and it's all about this little girl.
And we're devoting a whole show to that.
A whole show. Because
I look forward to building it.
In essence, you will. There are like, I think 8 sightings altogether that I came up with. And
you said she's been sighted 8 times by 7 different people.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think we have all 7 of those people, I think.
Oh.
Or at least all 7 of those sightings.
What is it going to be? A 7-hour show?
It's going to be, because each episode, each segment is an hour.
Oh, well, they should tune in for that. They've got to.
That's going to be season 2, actually, maybe.
Just that one show.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Anyway, listen. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us tonight.
Fine.
It was great fun. Thank you, Peter, for that great recording.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. And remember, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. We thank you very much for being here. We'll see you next time.
100 horses in 5 freight trains couldn't drag me into that early grave. I've cashed in the mistakes I've made, while God rode shotgun from 1,000,000 miles away. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, and this ain't that day. With the heart of a gypsy and the eyes of a child, I walk these fields and let my love grow wild. Filled with fever, I dare my desire. Don't fear the flame, I walk through the fire. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, and this ain't that day. I'll keep riding till the trail grows cold, where the hillsides burn, amber and smoke. The sheep and the shepherd are lost on different roads, blinded by hate, blinded by hope. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, and this ain't that day. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, no, this ain't that time, and this ain't that day.